Okay then, somewhere under that lot, there should be a bolt of lightning. Right then, on the lathe I have what is a 16 by 5.5 white oak rough turned bowl. Now what I did after I rough turned this was I deliberately split it. Anybody who's watched the channel for a while knows that sometimes I deliberately split blanks. I deliberately put a crack in it to make it just a little more interesting. And this one I cracked and it turned out like a lightning bolt. It was really cool looking, right? When I turned this down a bit, I'll go into how I cracked them and stuff, just in case anybody's interested. So first thing I'm going to do is flatten off this side. They can be clean entries, and then I'll round off the outside of the bowl. As you see, this one is quite warped. Right, it would have had to do with me deliberately cracking one side of it. The tension on the other side would have been thicker and heavier. Right. I'm going to go up that height until I get this done. Right, now we get this flattened off. There is an absolutely huge warp in this bowl. Huge. It's probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch either side of a warp on this bowl. Not down yet, still just a little bit there. Yeah, clean entries there. Right, now we'll start bringing the outside of this to round, which could take a while because, as I said, there's a huge warp in this. Whoa, that is a huge warp. If I move the micro camera, you can see how big the warp on this actually is. Right. Watch this for a distance of warp. I'm nearly up to it there. And look how far away I am there. This actually may be too big of a warp to take out. This bowl may not work. Right, so we'll get back to this. Okay, right, I'm there. Now what I'm wondering is if I cut the inside of this, will that disappear? As in maybe the warp is too much. So usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the inside of this. I don't think it should, but I'm just going to run a mark down it just to check. I'd say it should be okay, but we'll just double check. Yeah, we're okay. Right. Look at that warp. It's huge. Right, now we'll continue on with the outside of this bowl. Getting a shape into it. Nope. Really is a huge work. Now, all I want to do is hog wood off as quickly as I can get it off. Yeah, lightning bolt came out alright. No, need to get more off. The small cracks there, I know about them now, not to worry about it. That lightning bolt might turn out pretty nice. Right, start getting some more of this off. Alright then, now that most of that is down, let's start concentrating on a shape and cutting in the right direction, that kind of stuff, okay? No, it's still a massive bump there. I just find it easier to take massive things out of it cutting this direction. Not worried about finished cuts or anything else, I'm just hogging wood away. Mostly gone, I think. No, still feel a bump. Yeah, still a nice bump just there. I can't cut at my normal speed because of the imbalance in the bowl. Yeah, much better cut. The rest hasn't even turned out alright. Now, I have a little crack there I need to fill. Let's take those cracks with some CA. Then I'll start getting a finished cut on this. So I'll fill these cracks and we'll be back in a second. Right then, CA and sawdust should have gone off by now. Now that I have this round, I can start concentrating on shape and stuff. The first thing I want to do is get this base down a bit more. curve to go under the bowl a bit more. Right, I don't want a foot on this bowl. So you don't have to put feet. Excuse me, you don't have to put feet on bowls. And sometimes there's really big ones. I don't like it. I'm looking for the smooth curve all the way up this bowl. It'll be a compound curve, but I want it smooth. See the light is starting to rattle again. It's because I'm taking more weight off the side of that joint overhang. I'm not joking, this is the biggest warp I've ever seen in a rough turn bowl. Huge. Now, as I said before, I'm getting the bump out of this, so I'm not looking down here, I'm looking up here. Because I can see the bump up there, I cannot see the bump here. So when I'm cutting, I'm looking up there. And as you can see, that bump is now gone. No, it's not, I can feel it. I can't see it, but I can feel it. There's still a slight bump there. And speed up at all. Not a whole hell of a lot. The cut on that resin isn't bad, but I can get it better, and there's tool marks. There's a crack there I have to deal with. See it there? It's only slightly, but it's there. So we'll deal with that. Where is it? Where's it gone? There it is. I lost it for a sec there. You see it? Check the rest of it. There's one there. So I'm going to lock it down for a moment. Make sure that stays where I want it to stay. Grab some of this thin sawdust. Walk it into that crack. Before I put CA on it. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do the outside of that. That tear there is really bad. Right, I'm gonna recut here because I've got tear out just there. It's probably the angle of the grain. Alright, so I'm gonna resharpen this gouge, and I'm just gonna do another pass from here up. Just try and get rid of that tear out. See if I can get rid of this tear out. very slight, so a couple of passes should do it. Let's have a look. Yeah, got rid of it. Now I want to put a little ridge. No, I didn't. It's there. Right. Look now. Yeah, that got it. Now, because of the resin, I want to do a pass with a carbide just to make sure that that resin is good. It's a very light pass. I'm barely touching it. No. No, I don't like the finish that's leaving on that wood. I'll go back to the well gouge and do that again. Do a very light side bevel cut to get rid of what I just did. It seems to be a bump there. Yeah, that's better. That's better. A couple of tool marks there, but I'll sand them out because they're not very big. Now, just continue to cut up. This side bevel cut should give me a decent cut on that resin. It is, yes. Yes, good cutting the resin. Right then, I shall sand that, and hang on, what's that? What's that there? That doesn't look right to me. Just there. Go. Yeah, it's just a little material. Right then, I shall sand and finish that, and I'll be back for the Yorkshire with it. So we'll see you in a minute. Alright then, just doing the Yorkshire Grit. And this week's Yorkshire Grit Bit, I'm going to go back to something that I mentioned a while ago. Right, I mentioned the Irish hero called Cuchulainn, and the fact that the Morrigan, who, as we've now discovered, was one of the two that on it, and the love she had for him. Right now, as we know, as I mentioned before, Cuchulainn was the consummate Irish hero, and he went from battle to battle to battle, fighting for what he thought was right. Now, he was on his way to this one battle, and the Morrigan, being magic, knew that this was the battle he was to die in. And because she loved him, she wanted to try and stop him going. So the Morrigan used her ability to shift shapes in order to distract Cuchulainn and ruin his plans for going and fighting in this war. Staying near him was the best way for her to do this. Now, the thing was that at this stage, the Morrigan's powers were waning, because she had been using them so much, basically, to protect Cuchulainn. And she had put an awful lot of her power, not powers as such, but power and strength into Cuchulainn. And the only way that she could get it back was to stay close to him when he wasn't in danger. And then the powers kind of seeped back into her, right? The first time she appeared to him, after he rejected her, because as I said before, Cuchulainn didn't feel the same way about her, right? She appeared to him as a bull. She tried to make him lose track of the path he was on to get to this war and run away. But Cuchulainn didn't listen and just kept going. The second time, she appeared as an eel to try and make him trip over. His tripping over would help her to gain her strength back, because he'd have to stop. Right, the third time, she appeared as a wolf, trying to scare him and again send him off the track, but it didn't work. Now at last, she stopped changing into animals or strange creatures and decided to take a human shape. After she found out that the animal stuff wasn't working with him, that he wasn't going to stop. Okay. She appeared to Cuchulainn as an old woman whose job was milking cows. Now, Cuchulainn was very weary after the Morrigan's trickery, but he didn't recognise her. So she offered him a drink of milk from the cow, and he agreed. He was grateful for the drink, blessed the old lady. Right? And in that blessing, he restored all of the strength that she had and all of the power that she had given him. Right? Now, this brought her back to full health and full power. Right? Now, the Morrigan did everything in order to make Cuchulainn fail from accomplishing his plans. Right? All of her attempts failed, and a surge of rage brewed up on her. And she basically decided, or not decided wouldn't be the right word. She accepted that Cuchulainn was going to die. And one fine day, while Cuchulainn was roaming around on his horse and getting to this battle, he noticed the Morrigan sitting by the river, and she was washing his armour. She appeared as basically a banshee, right? I've mentioned this version of the banshee in the Yorkshire Grit Bit that I did about the banshee. If you haven't seen that one, I'll see if I can find what video it's in. I'll leave a link up there and a link below, of course. right? And that one's quite interesting because the Banshee is not what you think the Banshee is, right? He, as I said, he knew he was going to die once he seen her, and he knew it was the price he had to pay for discarding her love, for basically not loving her back, right? On the day of the battle, Cuchulainn was fighting powerfully until a severe wound hindered his ability to fight, and he knew he was going to die. So he put his back up against this large stone, took his kris off. Now a kris, for those who don't know, it's a belt. It's an Irish belt, and it's really long, and it's tied. It's not, doesn't have a buckle on it. It's actually tied, right? And he used his kris to tie himself in a standing position up against this big stone. Now, he had killed so many of the enemy that they now feared him, right? And they wouldn't go past where he was standing up against this big stone, right? So they stopped and they watched, and they watched, and they watched, and Cuchulainn was still standing with his axe and sword in his hand, right? Now, this went on for days, where Cuchulainn was standing in the middle of this. Now, this is never specified in the story, but I would imagine that it's like a valley, and this big stone is smack in the middle of it, and that's why they wouldn't go past them. Like, in my head, why wouldn't they go like 600 yards that way, or 600 yards that way, and just go around them? But as I said, in my head, this has always been that there's a valley there, and that he's blocking the valley, right? Now, as I said, he was tied to this rock and he was dead, but they didn't know it, right? So after a number of days, the Morrigan went into her normal animal form of a crow, and she flew down and sat on Cuchulainn's shoulder, and Cuchulainn didn't move, right? This told the enemy that Cuchulainn was dead. So they marched forward and marched past him, leaving him tying to the rock. And that is how the Morrigan's love for Cuchulainn actually ended up killing him. Right now, that story, if you're ever over in Ireland and you're in Dublin, if you go into the GPO, it's in O'Connell Street, you will see a statue in there of that story. There is a statue of Cuchulainn tied to the rock with the crow on his shoulder. It's just one of those things that if you ever come over there and you don't know about it, you might miss. And it's quite a cool statue, actually. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that story. I'll get on with doing this, and I'll be back when I'm putting the wax on. So see you in a minute. Alright then, just buffing the wax off, and turned out quite nice. The lightning bolt is nice now, but I'm not joking you, I can't even bring it up over 630 odd because of the amount of warp that's still in the inside of this bowl. So I've never seen one that's warped so much in the kiln. There we go, so the outside looks like this white oak is really nice. There's that lightning bolt. Right. Now, as I said, I deliberately cracked this. Anybody who's seen me, especially when I was going through that video where I went through the kiln, the snowman video, if you haven't seen it and you want to see the kiln, I'll leave a link up there and a link below. I sometimes deliberately crack rough torn bowls, excuse me, so I can put an accent piece into it. And with this one, there was a slight crack there, but what I did was I drove a wedge in. I drove a bone dry hard wedge in there to make this side of the crack open. As you see, there's a slight crack on this side as well, but I didn't do it on this side. right? And that's what it ended up with. It went down, went across. It went across on the grains. If you actually look at it, you can see where basically the rings of the tree, right, forced it to crack across. And I actually like that. Turned out very nice. Right, so we'll get to hollowing the inside of this. Right, so I'll sit up for that and I'll be back in a sec. Right then, freshly sharpened gouge. Now we get to doing this. I'm gonna go up to a slight wobble there, go through it if I can. No, I can't. Right. I'm at 625. Right, now I gotta start taking out that massive wobble that's in this before I can really start to shape it. I'm having to do this very, very easy, because if I hit too big of a bite, this bowl is going to go flying. Right, let's have a look at that. Yes, we're down. Right. That resin is going to need a touch of the carbide. Just need to go down slightly more and I can do that. But as I said, an absolutely massive overhang on that. Right, now I'm just going to hit that resin. It's not a bad cut, but I should be able to improve it a little. But I want to do something with that little crack there first. It's not much of a one, but it's there. So we might as well sort it out. And the dog is barking at something. God knows what. Right, now we'll just get that a quick touch of the carbide. You just get that resin right. So look at it. Perfect. Right, I want to cut that rim as well. Make sure it's a nice clean rim, which it is. Right, now we get down to the bottom of this, and I gotta watch the width, because this is actually slightly skinnier than I like to do bowls. But with that massive warp, I didn't have a lot of choice. Get up to my normal speed. I can. Now that that massive thing is gone, I can actually go to my normal footing speed as well. Oh, that's it. That carbide really is chewing this up. Right. Carbide is not going to work down this slope. Right, I'm going to resharpen this again to get a decent finish cut on that. because the carbide is really chewing up the wood. Right then, pick up the cut. Yeah, much better cut. Yeah, that's better. You can see the difference there between the carbide cut and the gouge cut. The gouge cut is much cleaner. Excuse me. No, still warped there. Right, let's start getting the bottom of this bowl. I don't like the difference between those two. It's going to make it a pain in the butt to sand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the negative rake scraper on this, just this part here. I don't want to touch up here where that resin is. I just want to do that part with the negative rake scraper. I'm trying to give myself the best shot I can at having the same sanding finish. Careful not to go up onto that resin. I'm just double checking where I am. By the resin mostly. Yeah, now if you can see those two surfaces look around a bit the same. If you can get the same surface when you're sanding, it just makes it a lot easier to sand. Your sanding will go a lot better. Yep. Okay, right. Raise another bore on this. Do that bit. Surface is the same. No, there's a little bit of tear out there. Just there. But I have enough to sort it out. Now I got it. I got it. Okay, tear out's gone. Right, now I'm not going to hit that with a negative rake in case it tears out again. I'm just going to have to deal with the two surfaces. Makes it slightly more annoying to sand, but I prefer no tear out. Right, the last bit. Right then. Now we can sand that. As I said, like, you can probably see the demarcation line just there from where it's been negative rake scrape and where it's been cut. The cut line is much cleaner, but I don't want to risk negative rake scraping in there again in case I get more tear out. Right, so I'm gonna sand this and I'll be back in a sec. Right then, just buffing the wax off. Now if you ever do get a rough turn bowl like that and it's extremely warped, it's like this one was, right? What's most important is you get that warp out first. You can't do anything else until that warp is out of it. There's no sense in trying to shape it or whatever. Right? How you cut it doesn't really matter. Right? Cut direction and that stuff, just you can't do a lot until that warp is out of it. So that was the thing in this video, was dealing with an extremely warped bowl. Right, so that's the inside done. That is very nice. Right, that resin did turn out quite nice actually. Right, so all I got to do now is flip it over, do the base, and I'll give you a better look at it. So I'll do that and I'll be back in a sec. Right then, there we have it. Really nice 15.5 by 5 white oak bowl with that blue lightning bolt on the far side there. As I said in the video, that is the biggest warp I've ever seen on a rough turn bowl. It was huge. But as I also said in the video, if you do get something like that, your main priority before you start anything is to get that warp out, because you can't do anything when it's still in there. So if you like that one, if you wouldn't mind clicking like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.